Hey everyone, welcome back. In today's video, what we are going to do is we are going to create a Soroban application. And if you do not know about Soroban, Soroban is basically a smart contract platform on the Stellar network. So what we will be doing is we will be creating a smart contract on the Soroban platform, and then we will be connecting this smart contract with a front end. So whenever a user will visit our website, so they need to connect their wallet with the application, and then only they will be able to do any kind of transaction on the Stellar network. So this will be a very interesting tutorial, especially if you want to learn more about Soroban, and if you are totally beginner and do not know anything about Soroban or the Stellar network, then this video will be a very useful video for you. So let's start with the application without wasting any time. And yes, before that, we need to install certain things. So first of all, you need to watch that, install these things. And if you already have all the dependencies that are required for the Stellar network, for the Soroban platform, then you can skip that part of the video, the installation part, and you can start with the application part of the video where I'm creating the application. So let's start. And yes, let me tell you about the two events that are going to be held in London, and I am going to these two events, and these are some interesting events that are going to be held in London. The first event is EasyA Stellar Hackathon that is going to be held from 12th of October till 13th of October. I will share the links in the description, as well as you can see the location on your screen where these events are going to be held in London. And the second event is Stellar Meridian Conference that is going to be held from 15th of October till 17th of October. Again, I will share the links in the description, and I will share the location as you can see on your screen. If you want to join these two events, you can join. And I am going to these two events, and I hope you are also joining these two events. Let's meet there and let's have fun together. Now let's start with the tutorial. So let's start with the process of Soroban installation, and for that we will be using this documentation, and I will be sharing the link in the description of this video so that you can also do the same. You can also follow the same step as I'm doing, and then we will go to this go to docs, and now you can see we have all the documentation related to the Soroban platform. Now in order to install it, I will simply go to this setup part, okay, and here you will find all the installation step that we will be doing in order to install the Soroban platform. And trust me, the documentation are pretty good. I will say after so much long time I'm seeing this kind of documentation where you can simply follow the documentation and everything will be set. Okay, so let's start. So in order to use the Soroban platform, we need Rust, because at the end of the day we are going to write Rust programming language, right? We are going to use Rust programming language in order to write our smart contract. So for that, I will be using the Linux environment. Okay, in your case, you can also go for Mac OS, you can go for Windows, whatever suits you. And for Linux, I will be using Windows subsystem for Linux. Means I will be using my Windows operating system, and on top of which I will be running the Linux environment so that I can write the Linux environment. So you can either go for Windows subsystem for Linux, or you can also install Linux environment in the VirtualBox and then you can use it. And if you have a Linux environment already, like Ubuntu operating system already installed, then you can directly use that. So let me open terminal. Okay, so terminal, I will simply do run as administrator so that we do not have any administrator issues. Okay, and let me do this. Okay, so this will be much now nicer. So first of all, I will be installing Rust, okay, and I will be simply following the documentation, and I will be sharing the link in the description so that you can also follow that. And then I will simply copy this command and I will paste it. Okay, before that, because I'm using Windows subsystem for Linux, I need to write this WSL command, okay, so that I have this bash. Okay, great. Now I can use this command. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit and let me copy this, paste it. Okay, so now you can see the Rust installation process has begun, and now it is saying that current installation options. Okay, these are some things, and then proceed with standard installation, customize installation, or cancel installation. So I will be simply doing the first part. Okay, so now the installation has started. Okay, so in my case, Rust is already installed, so that's why you are seeing this particular thing, that Rust is already installed. In your case, you will be installing Rust from scratch when you'll be writing this command. And simple process, nothing fancy, just write this command and everything will be set. Okay, and let me show you that I have Rust. So I will simply do, let me just clear the terminal. So here we will do Rust C -- version, and you can see that I do have Rust. Okay, now I will go to the next step, that is install the target. So let me just copy this. Okay, and I do have Rust up. So when you will be installing Rust, everything will be installed. Let me show you that as well. So version, yes. Okay, so now I can use this Rust up. So I can simply copy this, paste it, and it is saying that info component is up to date. Okay, because I already have the system configuration according to the documentation, so that's why it is saying that. In your case, it will be doing each and everything from scratch, as I said. Then we can go, okay, and there is certain steps that we need to see, that many editors have support for Rust. Okay, and yeah, so you can use whatever editor you want to use. I will be using Visual Studio Code, and that is, I think, something which we all use mostly. So yeah, I will be using that. Now I will go to the next step, that is installing the Stellar CLI. So I will simply copy this command, and since we have Rust, we do have Cargo as well, and let's do this so that I can install this particular Stellar CLI as well. So, okay, we will be using it, so that's why. Okay, so this is done. Then we will simply copy this, paste it. Again, we need to wait for some time. And if you have a Mac OS, okay, then you can also use Brew in your case, but I'm using Cargo. So yeah, everything is working fine by my end. Okay, so this is done. Now we will go for this particular section. If you want auto completion, then you need to install this. So basically not install, you have to use this command. And to enable autocomplete permanently in future bash shell, then just run this command. Okay, so these are some steps that you need to follow. And now for configuring the CLI for testnet, since you will be using testnet, right, in order to deploy our smart contract, in order to test our smart contract, so I will be using this as well. Let me clear this, let me paste it here. Okay, so this is done. Now we are going to configure our identity. So let's copy this, paste it, Taylor keys, generate global ALS network testnet. Okay, let's do this. So here you can see that. Let's configure an identity called Alice. You can use any name you want. So if in your case you want some other name, then definitely you can use that. But it might be nice to have some name identities that you can use for testing. So they are saying that you can definitely have any other name, but it will be nice if you're using these names, okay, for the testing purposes. So now we can run this particular command. Okay, great. And now we can see the public address of Alice, because we have the Alice as our identity, right? So simply run this command and you can see this is the public address of Alice. So now let us start with the decentralized application. So I will share the link of this website where you need to visit the documentation. And in this documentation, you have to go below and just click on go to docs. Now, once you will do that, you have to go for build applications, sorry for that, and then you have to go for build a dApp frontend. So in this documentation, each and everything is given, like how we can create a decentralized application, basically how to create a front end for our decentralized application. So we will be creating a counter contract, and for that counter contract, we will be creating a front end. And for the front end part, we are going to use Astro. So this will be actually helping us in order to create our decentralized application. And you can use React or you can use Vue, Servlet, whatever you want, but we are going to stick with Astro right now, because for Astro we will see that we do have this template that is provided by the Soroban, and this is a good template to start with your decentralized application. So let's copy this particular command. So I'm going to use Visual Studio Code in order to create our application, and you can see that I have created this folder by the name of Soroban app, and I'm going to paste the command here only. And since I'm using Windows subsystem for Linux, in order to write the Linux command, I will be simply typing WSL here. And if you're also doing the same, you are using Windows subsystem for Linux, then please paste this command. Or you can also use VirtualBox, or you can directly operate on Ubuntu operating system, like whatever is your requirement of the operating system. Okay. Now what I will be doing is I will be simply pasting this command that we have copied from there, and now you can see that our packages are ready, but still we cannot use them. But still you can see that we have the contracts folder where we will be writing our contract. So you can see that by default we have this hello, basically I will not say hello world, but yes, there is this function where you can pass certain string to it, and then it will return hello with something, whatever you have passed in the function, right? So if you are passing world, then it will be hello world written by this function. And then we have this src folder where we will be writing the components, and you can see the components is in Astro. You can see the pages is in Astro, and then we have contract utils, and you will see that once you will compile our contract, once you will build our contract, you will find a different .ts file here, and I will show you that, don't worry. then you can see this index.stro. Basically this is your main file which will be rendering when we will be starting this template, when we will be doing all the steps that are required in order to run this application. And we have other things as well, but before that, let's do one thing. Let's do npm install so that we have all the dependencies in place, and make sure you have node.js and npm in your system, otherwise it won't work. So node.js is mandatory, make sure that you have that. And then we will run this command, this npm run dev. This command won't work, but still I want to show you this, that you will face an error if you will try to run this npm run dev. And you can read from this error that once we did this npm run dev, this node initialize.js file, this was the file that was being executed. And you can see that it tried to run this node, this particular command tried to run this initialize.js file. And when this command tried to run this particular file, we have these errors. Now, why do we have these errors? Let me tell you that. And before that, let me tell you about this initialize.js file. Now, this is your main file. Basically, why I'm saying this is your main file, because this file will be responsible for all the build processes, for all the how the contract will be deployed, how the contract will be built. Each and everything will be done using this particular file. Okay, and I can show you that as well. So you can see that this is your initializing console, which you have seen this here as well, this particular thing right now. Okay, and apart from that, you can see that this is using the Staler command. So this is your CLI, and then we have initialized the CLI with this Staler. And if I will just do CLI search, you can see that we are doing a lot of things using the CLI. We are trying to generate an account for Soroban. We are trying to build the contract. We are trying to deploy the contract, and then we are trying to bind it. Okay, and then we have a lot of different things, right? You can see that we are actually creating one file also, which you will see inside this contracts folder once we will run this file. Okay, so this is a file which is actually responsible, as I said, for deploying to running to doing each and everything with your smart contract. And to run this file, if you will read about this file, if you will read this file, you will find that to run this file, what we need is, we need process.env. Basically, we need certain things. Like, what are these things? Let me show you. These are those things which we require in order to run this file. That is your public Soroban network paraphrase, your public Soroban RPC URL, the account, and the Soroban network. Okay, now if you want to do this, what we will be doing is, we will simply go to the terminal. If we want to run this particular file, we will simply do cp.env.example.env. So what we are doing is, we are simply creating a .env file, and we are copying each and everything from .env example to this .env file. So let's do that. So once we will do that, you can see that now we have this .env file having the same things as we have the in this .env.example file, and inside this we will paste these things. So earlier, that was the local host where the Soroban network was running. If you will see Soroban network paraphrase, this was your local host, but we will be deploying the smart contract. We will be running the smart contract on the test network. So that's why you can see that I have used Soroban testnet.staler.org, and then we are using the Soroban account, that is ls, and this is your testnet. Okay, so now what we will do is, we will try to run the we will try to run this particular line once more, npm run dev. And now you will see that we won't face any errors, because now we have all the things in place. We have all the variables in place in the .env file. And now you will see that the building process has started, and then it will start the deployment process. And then we will have a deployed smart contract on the Soroban Staler network, basically Soroban testnet Staler network. Okay, so let's wait for it. So you can see the compiling process is being done. Okay, so now you can see the deployment process has started. Okay, once the build process is done, the deployment process started, and each and everything is happening because of this initialize.js file that we have in place. Okay, because this file is actually making sure that we are building the contract, we are deploying the contract, and each and everything. And you can see that once this is done, we have the transaction hash, and we have the explorer, the Staler.export explorer, where we can check our smart contract, we can check our contract. Okay, and if I will simply do control plus click on this particular link, you can see that it is asking us to open this. Let me open this, and let me show you. So here you can see that this is your contract. So this is your contract, and this is type, and each and everything is mentioned here. Okay, you can check it out. And apart from that, this is the main thing, right? This is your contract address. And once this will be done, what you will see that your application has started also. Okay, and if I will simply go to localhost 4321, again I will do control plus click, you will see that your application has started. And this, there is a lot of things that is going on here, and the main thing that we need to be concerned about is actually this hello you, because this is something which is we are fetching from the smart contract. This you thing is something which I have passed to the smart contract, and as I said to you, right, the smart contract is returning hello, and then this hello is being concatenated with the things we are passing, that the arguments that we are passing to the function. And since we are passing you here, the smart contract is returning us with this you. And I will show you that. Let me show you that. So if I will simply again go to the index.stro, this your index.stro, and you can see that we are simply calling the hello function of our smart contract. So we have imported this hello world from the contract hello world, and let me show you that we have this. Currently we are in index.stro, right? So we need to go one directory above. So one directory above we have this contracts, and you can see, as I told you, that once you will deploy the smart contract, you will have this hello world.ts file, and this is also created using this only this initialize.js. Okay, so this is something which we are using in order to interact with our smart contract. And where is the index.stro file? Let me again click on this. Where is this? Okay, I missed it, right? Okay, this is it. So here we are simply importing it, and then we are interacting with it so that we can call a function that is deployed on the basically the function that is present in our smart contract and deployed to the testnet. And let me show you this, that if I will go to the contracts, we have this lib.rs, and inside this lib.rs we have this hello function, right? So this is a function which we are calling. Okay, and we are generating the result, and once the result is generated, means once the result is returned from the smart contract, we are simply doing this. A join part means we are trying to concatenate these two things. We are trying to actually join these two things, and then we are simply using this greeting variable inside the title. We are also using this greeting variable here in the h1 tag. Okay, that's why you are seeing this. Let me show you where is the application. So this is the application. So you can see that we have this in the heading, and we also have this in our title that says this hello you, because we are actually using the things that are written from the smart contract. And you can also do the same. You can also try to do this, means you can change this particular thing. Let's say instead of you, what you want is you want hello world, for example. Okay, so what I will do is I will try to redeploy the smart contract so that I can show you the entire process once more, so that you are also comfortable with this entire process. Let me do this npm run dev once more. So again, you can see that once I did this npm run dev, we have again started with the smart contract compilation process, and then again we will deploy a new smart contract, and this new contract, instead of having hello you, we will see this hello world. Okay, so let's retry this so that you are also comfortable with this entire process. Okay, so you can see that once the compilation is done, again we are deploying a new contract, and this is the transaction hash of our smart contract, and this is our new deployed smart contract. Okay, great, 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 great. Now this is interesting, right? With the help of this template, we do not need to do each and everything from scratch. Each and everything is being done from this basically behind the scenes using this initialize.js. And let me go back to the application now. So let me refresh this. And now you can see that in the title as well as in the heading, we have this hello world. This is a great start, right? This is a great start. And now let's head on to our contract, basically counter smart contract. We will be creating a counter, and then we will try to increment the counter. We will try to connect our wallet using this basically with the application. Okay, let's do that. Now, in order to create our counter contract, first of all, we will change the package name, because definitely we do not want that. Let's close the terminal. We do not want that. Let's simply close this. We will simply do a rename here. So since we are creating a counter, let's name it counter, and let's go to cargo.tml. Let's make it counter, because we are creating a counter, right? We are not creating hello world. So we will make these changes, and let's go to our basically contracts folder that is in our lib.rs. And here we will have these because you will be requiring it in the counter contract. We will remove this, and we will also remove these dependencies. Instead of it, we will have a log, we will have a symbol, and we will also have symbol short. Okay. And now we will create one constant by the name of counter, which will be of symbol type, and we will be using this symbol short, and inside this we will have counter. And you will see what is the requirement of this once you will start with the code. Don't worry about it. Let's change the name of this contract to incrementer contract. Okay. And let's have this incrementer contract here as well. And let's rename this function to increment, and we will do not require anything be passed as an argument. So let's remove this. Instead of a vector, we are going to return u32. Okay, because we are going to return a counter. Let's remove this as well. Now let's create a mutable variable that is counter, which will be of u32 type, equal to env dot storage dot instance, spelling is right, instance dot get, and we will pass counter variable here, basically the counter constant here, then unwrap or 0. What we are trying to do with this particular line is we are simply trying to retrieve the counter value from the contract storage, and if by any chance it is not present, then we are returning 0 by default. Okay, and this counter that we are using here is, this is the key that we are using in order to retrieve the counter value. And just to avoid any confusion, let's name it as count only. Okay, and now what we can do is, once we have the count ready, we can simply do a count plus 1, right? And once we will do that, we will simply do a log. Then we will simply, inside this log, we will pass the environment variable, basically the count, this count as well as the environment. So, and env. Now in order to set this count value to the contract storage, what we can do is we can simply do env dot storage, and then we will simply do instance. We can go to set, and then you will simply set the counter and the count. Okay, so now we will have the new value as the new count value, since we have incremented it at the contract storage. And then you will do env storage dot instance, and now what we will be determining is, and now we will do extend ttl. Basically here we are mentioning that we want the smart contract as well as the count value to be there for 100 seconds. Okay, so 100 seconds, and let's have a semicolon here as well. And yes, by mistake I have removed this particular line where we are incrementing the counter, right? So yeah, sorry for that. And then we will return this counter, because we are not just incrementing the counter, but we are also returning it from the function, right? So that's why we will have this count, so that it will be returned from the function. And with this, we have completed our smart contract, which is a counter smart contract. And now we will connect this counter smart contract with our front end. And before that, let me show you the test file as well. So I have provided you with this test file, which will be testing your counter smart contract. So you can see that what we are doing is we are trying to increment the contract, means we are trying to increment the counter. Then we are checking it whether it is 1, because initially by default it will be 0, right? If nothing is in the storage, so it will be incrementing it by 1. So it is checking against 1, then we are checking it against 2, then we are checking it against 3, right? So this will be a proper test for your smart contract. So in order to create the front end of our application, again we will be looking at the documentation, and you can see that call the incrementer contract from the front end. So we are going to see this part, and in order to interact with our front end, in order to interact actually with our smart contract, we will be requiring this particular wallet. Okay, so what we will be doing is we will be simply clicking on this install it now button. Okay, and I will simply click on this button, that is add to browser, and it supports your Brave browser, Chrome browser, as well as your Mozilla Firefox browser. Make sure that you are on the right documentation page when you are installing this wallet, so that you are not, you are not scammed or something like that, because there are a lot of fake wallets, a lot of fake things that are going on in the internet, and I do not want you to be the part of it. So make sure you are on the correct documentation. You are actually using the right Chrome extension while you are installing this. So let's do this. Let add it to Chrome. Let's click on add extension. So it will take some time, I think some few seconds, and we will have the Friator. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Friter, right? So yes, we will have this. We will simply do a create wallet. Now let me type a password. So this password will be required whenever you are actually trying to log in into your wallet. Let's confirm this. I will simply do this, confirm this. Okay, so this is something which you need to keep very secret. I'm showing it right now on the screen because I'm demonstrating you. I'm creating a tutorial here, right? So that I can show you the steps that are involved. But in your case, you need to keep it private. This is something which you do not share it with anyone. Okay, otherwise all your wallet currency, if you have something in your wallet on the mainnet, then definitely it will be at risk. So make sure that you are not showing it this thing to anyone. But in my case, I'm showing it to you for the tutorial purpose. Let me copy this down because we will be requiring this in the next slide. Yeah, you can see that. Let me just paste it somewhere on my desktop. Let me paste it on my, okay, so I think I have not pasted it yet. Okay. I think I need to take a, I cannot copy it if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I cannot copy it. So they have actually made each and everything in such a way that you cannot do all the things that we do, right, as a developer. Okay, so now I have the snapshot of this particular thing with me, with basically the phrases with me. So I will be simply typing these. Let me do it quickly. Okay, so this is done. Let me confirm this. Done. I'm ready to go. So now you can see that I will have the wallet in my browser. I will switch to testnet since I'm going to use this. And yes, you can directly fund your basically this account currently is empty, right? Because we have not funded it. So we need to do this fund with friendbot. So it will fund some amount of currency in our account. So you can see now we have this 10,000 XLM in our account and we can use it for the testing purposes. Okay, so this thing that we are going to do is for the testing purpose. So now after this, once we have the wallet ready, we need to install this Stellar Wallet Kit because this will be very important in order to interact with your wallet. For the signing part, for interacting with your public key, means each and everything will be done using this particular thing only. So let's copy this. Let's go to the Visual Studio Code and let's open the terminal, and I will simply paste the command here, and it will take hardly some few minutes and it will be installed till that point of time. Okay, now you can see that they have actually provided us with this code which we need to paste in order to interact with the wallet, and I will show you like what this code is all about, what they are trying to do with this, so that we can use it in our application. So first of all, what we are going to do is we are going to create this Stellar Wallets kit.ts file. Okay, so let's do this. So we will go to Visual Studio Code. We will go to the source. Inside this, we will create this file. Let me copy the file name from here so that we do not make any mistake in the file name. I will paste it, and this is our file. Now, once this is done in the src folder, now what we will do is we will simply copy this code. Okay, and we will paste it here, and now your code is ready, and I will explain you each and everything. Just give me some time. And now coming back to it, so now you can see that this is the code that will be responsible for loading your public key, setting your public key, and this is a kit that we will require for connection with the wallet. But before that, you can see that now we need to create one more component, that is this connect wallet.stro inside this src/components folder. So we will go here, we will simply create a new file, we will paste the file name here, and this is our connect wallet.stro. Coming back to this page, we can simply copy this code. Okay, so you can see that we are loading the kit as well as the set public key from the Stellar Wallet kit that we have just the code that we have just pasted. Now we will paste this here. Okay, and you will see some of these red lines, just don't worry about them. Okay, for now, and it is all good to go. let's now go below a little bit. So now you can see that we are importing this connect wallet.stro, and okay, let's do this. So let's go again back to our this was in our index.stro. So I will simply go here, I will simply import this. So now you can see I'm importing this connect wallet, and it is actually giving us a warning. Basically, we are not using this connect wallet, we have simply imported it. So we need to use it. And in order to import, basically in order to use it, we will simply use this connect wallet component. You can see in a, like, we can use it anywhere, but since it is given in the documentation, I'm going to paste it here only, okay, for the proper arrangement of the connect wallet. And then we can simply connect it. Now once you will connect it, you will see that our wallet will be ready. Now once you will click on the connect button, like everything will be ready to work with it. So let's do this, and then I will explain you the whole code, what we have pasted and what that particular code is trying to do. So again, let me open my terminal. Okay, so this is good. Now let's do npm run dev. So if there will be any errors, then definitely we are going to work with them. Okay, so let's see before that. So this is our counter contract, because we have created a counter contract, right? So if I will go to this, so this is our counter contract, and we are compiling it, and then we are going to deploy it. Let's see. And apart from that, in our contracts folder, now you will see that we have a, okay, there is some error. Let me see. So there is this error. Okay, I made a mistake here in the contract. So during the build part, uh, that's why it failed. Let's go back to the lib.rs. Let's have a explanation mark here. Now let's try to again do the build process. Okay, so once this will be successfully built, and I hope it will not give us any error. Okay, let's wait for it. So there is this warning stating that, okay, so there are certain warnings that I'm seeing, and let's see what are those warnings. After that, we will see those warnings, but let's see first of all how our page is looking. And let's see that in the contracts folder, you can see that inside this src folder, we have this counter.ts, where you can see that we are importing the counter. Okay, and let's open now the local host. If everything will be correct, yes, you can see now we have this connect button. And since we already have this Frighter wallet, so if I will click on this connect, you can see that it is giving us this various option that which wallet we want to choose. And I'm going to select this Frighter because we have installed that. And you can see as soon as I clicked on this, the Frighter wallet page has actually opened. We need to type our password here. So let me type my password. I will simply click on login. Okay, I made a wrong password basically. Let me again try to put my correct password. Okay, so now you can see that, and now we are simply connecting it with our account. So now we are connected with our basically our page. Okay, and we will see that, you can see that signed in as something is written, and since we haven't completed the code yet, so we need to wait for a while. But let's go to the wallet, Writer wallet, and this is the account to which we are connected with the application. So let's see this how it is, the whole code is working. So this was the first file that we created, right? And in this file, you can see that we are simply exporting these three things: the kit, the public key, loaded public key function basically, and then we have this set public key function. So this kit is basically responsible for your modules, for your network, and this selected wallet ID. And you can see that this is kit is of Stellar wallet kit type. And then you can see we have these two functions basically, this loaded public key and this set public key, which is actually responsible for setting the public key and loading the public key as the name suggests. And then we have this connect wallet.stro page, which is actually responsible, basically component, which is actually responsible for your button, for the button functionality that we have seen on the application. So you can see that we have the button here. We are simply importing the kit as well as the set public key from the Stellar wallet kit, that is from here. And then what we are doing is we are simply using the button. Basically, we are simply using this button.add event listener. So whenever we are clicking on the button, we are simply getting the address. So you can see that we are using this kit in order to get the address, and then we are setting the public key. And you can see that this is basically a modal. That is, when you are doing this, we have this kit.open modal with all these information, right? So this was the page that was responsible for your Connect wallet. Now, once this is done, we have simply imported this Connect wallet component inside our index.stro so that we can show this on our application, on the home page of our application. And this is it, what we have done till now. And now the next step will be to create a button which will be responsible to increment the counter, right? We have created a smart contract where we have the counter variable. So now we will increment that counter using the application. So let's do that. And yes, one more important thing. So when I refresh this page, now I am seeing this GDBO, that is the address that we are connected. So you can see that this is the address that we have in our wallet, and now you can see the address connected to our application. So earlier we were not seeing that, so I just refreshed the page. Now we can see this account also connected to our application. Okay, and now it's time for the last step, that is for the increment call. So for that, you can see that we have this counter.stro file. We have to simply copy this particular file, and we need to go to the Visual Studio. We need to create new component by the name of counter.stro, and we have to simply paste this file here. Okay, again you are seeing some red lines, just ignore them. And this line that we are seeing here, this red line that we are seeing here, is because we have counter.ts instead of this Soroban increment contract. So just rename it to counter so that we do not have this error. Okay, and then you can see that we have this pin click event again, and once you will click on the button, so what will happen basically is we are simply going to load the public key. So we have set the public key already, right? Once we connected with the wallet using this connect wallet.stro component. Now once we are connected, we can load that particular public key, and then we are checking whether the public key exists or not, because this public key will be used in order to sign your transaction. So you can see that if you will just go to this line number 28, we are simply calling the contract. We are actually calling the function, increment function, that is available in our incrementer contract. So we have basically we have imported it from here, right? So now what we are doing is we are simply calling this increment function that is available in our lib.rs. Here you can see that we have this increment function, and we are simply calling it, right? We are simply calling it. And once we are calling it, we are also signing the transaction, stating that this is me who has does basically this is me who has actually done this particular transaction. Because on blockchain, each and everything need to be transparent, right? You cannot just do anything on the blockchain without stating who has done it. So you need to tell that, okay, this is me who is actually making a change here, because we are actually incrementing the counter, right? So we need to tell that this is me who is actually increment the counter. So that's why you can see that once we will call this increment function, we will have our transaction. Then we are going to sign this transaction, right? Using again, you can see that for signing the transaction, again, I'm using the kit in order to sign this particular transaction. And you can also see that we are also using this load public key. And where we have this load public key, we have this load public key again from the Stellar wallet kit, right? That we have created here. So you can see that all these three things are being utilized. This kit is utilized in the connect wallet component as well as in the counter component. And this set public key when we were actually connected, when we were trying to connect with the account. And then we have this load public key when we are actually trying to load the public key that is already connected to the application, or we have already set with the help of this set public key right here. So you can see that we have set this public key, right? So just we are loading that particular public key in order to sign our transaction. That's it. Now we can check this particular component by running npm run dev. So let's do this, and let's see the warnings that we have so that I can just work with them out. Okay, so let's see the warnings. So this is incrementer contract and increment contract. So okay, basically the errors that we are seeing here is because of our test.rs file. You can see that if this is a test module, consider adding this, and let's add this in the starting. Okay, and then we have mod test on by default. I think everything is now good. It is saying that we are not using this. Consider adding this is that. Okay, we have added this cfg test. Let's see how it goes. And this is a test file, so we don't have to worry much about it for now, because we are actually focused on the application part, but we will see to it. Now let's go back to the documentation and let's import this counter, right? Because we have just created this counter.stro component, but we haven't imported it into our index.stro. So let's import this. Just copy this particular line, and let's go back to where it is, index.stro. Let's paste it here, and then we can simply again use the counter component. Let's see where we can use it. So let's again go back to the documentations, and okay, so according to the documentation, is it this is inside this particular instruction set. So let's have this. The reason of following this particular documentation right now is so that because there is a lot of css that is happening behind the scene, and I do not want to mess it up. So that's why. Let's remove this particular part and let's simply have this. So let's have this here. Okay, great. We are good to go. Let's again start the terminal. So let's do npm run dev so that we can redeploy our smart contract. We can again check it whether it has any problem or not. And then we can check whether our application is running properly or not. So let's wait for a while. Let's go to the browser. Let's just see. Okay, so the transaction is successful. Uh, and we can check out the smart contract as well. So we have deployed the contract. So this is good. Now let's wait. Okay, great. So now we have the local host ready. Let's see this. So I hope this will work fine. And yes, we have this connect button here, and you can see that we have this increment current value. So this is actually already given in the uh, that counter.stro component, right? So let's connect with our browser. So now we are basically connected with GDBO account. That is this account that we have in our wallet. And now let's do the increment part. So you will see basically that once we will do this increment, we have this pop-up of Frighter wallet because we need to sign this transaction. So I will sign this transaction. And you can see that once we have signed this transaction, now we have a value 1 here. Now, if I will again increment it, again I need to sign this transaction. And again, I will simply sign this transaction here. And again, you now will see that we have 2 here. So let's have a magic. Boom. And with this, we have completed our tutorial. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial where we have seen how to create a Soroban application, how to basically link our smart contract that is deployed on the Stellar network with the front end, and then how to do various things on the front end part, how to connect a wallet, how to basically sign a transaction, and how to call a smart contract function that is already means the function that is already present on the smart contract, right? And the smart contract is deployed on a blockchain. So we have seen a lot of things today, and I hope this was a wonderful session for you, and meet you soon in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.